Hey guys, I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Boom Shaka and I welcome you to my channel. Mostly I speak about INFJ stuff, mostly. And I'm grateful that you guys are supporting me and following me and subscribing and commenting. I really appreciate all the love. In this video I wanted to speak to you guys about how INFJs have this tendency to punish themselves for crimes or sins that they have in their heads. Like they think that they've committed these sins, they think that they've committed these crimes. No one else might be blaming them, no one else is talking about it, no one else is saying it to them, but we have our own roster, our own rota in our head, our own kind of ledger that says, okay, these are all your crimes, these are all the things you've committed, all of the sins you've committed over your lifetime, and these are the reasons why you should be punished for it, right? And so we can't do it to ourselves. No one else says it to us, mostly. No one else tells us that we're a horrible person and should be punished for all these things. But we just do it to ourselves because we have this tendency to want to balance things out, especially the unfairness in the world, right? So if we do something wrong in our heads, if it's wrong, then we have to balance it by punishing ourselves. Now, for myself, I use techniques of physical punishment, so not like beating myself or lashing myself. But for example, recently my mother got sick and she lived really far away from me, right? And so I felt terrible. I felt like a horrible daughter that I was so far away from her. I can't take care of her. I can't be by her side. I can't pet her shoulder. I can't be there for her. There's a reason for it. There's a reason I'm so far away. There's a very good reason for it. I'm not far away for just because I want to spite them or anything. There's a reason why I'm here. Because I'm working, blah, blah, blah. But in my head, I was thinking to myself, like, you're a terrible daughter, you should be punished for this. Now, this punishment sometimes happens consciously. A lot of times it happens unconsciously, at least for me. So in this case, I didn't drink any water for hours and hours and hours. I mean, almost the whole day, right? And so at the end of the day, I'm thinking to myself, I'm really thirsty for some reason. And so I gulped down like 3 or 4 liters of water, like straight through. And I think to myself, why am I so thirsty? And I think about it a little bit because I like to kind of analyze my actions and analyze my body and analyze everything that's going on because I want to know what the hell I'm doing with this life. And also I want to know why I do things the way I do, right? And so I realized I hadn't had any water all day. Not because I was busy. Yes, I was busy, but not busy enough to drink water. I have my water bottle everywhere. I always carry it with me. So I have water next to me. But I was punishing myself, I realized, because my mother was far away and she was sick and I couldn't be there for her. And the only way I could think of, well, at that moment in time, unconsciously, was to punish myself physically by not giving myself enough water for the day, right? Or not any water at all. And so obviously I'd gulped down a bunch of water and I made sure that I was hydrated after because it's not good for me, obviously. And then I called her and made sure that I was there for at least in that format, right? But when I was starting to think about it, I was thinking to myself, how often do I do this without realizing it? And so I started analyzing things and I thought to myself, okay, when was the last time I punished myself? And I thought of this really important reason or important occasion when I broke up with my ex, and he was one of the longest relationships I had. Really nice guy. I think in my head I treated him like crap at the end of the relationship. I'm sure I did. I don't think I want to lie about that. Yes, I did treat him like crap, which I felt terrible about, but I was basically hurting myself by hurting him or, whatever you want to call it. So I treated him poorly at the end of our relationship, and I think one of the reasons why we broke up was because of that, obviously, but because of other reasons as well. But I kind of focused on the fact that it was my fault, absolutely my fault, not his fault at all, which it was as well. It was both of us. There's a reason we broke up. We're not suited to each other. But I took all the blame upon myself, and I said it was my fault entirely. I'm a horrible person. It's my fault. I'm never going to be in a relationship again. I'm never going to go. And so I basically punished myself, if you want to call it, by not getting into a relationship for years after that. For years, like for months, years after that. And people would be interested in me, they'd come towards me, and I would just use them, and I feel terrible about this, I would use them for sex because I thought that's what they wanted, and then I just discard them. This is my past, I don't do that anymore, this is like 4, 5, 6 years ago. But I want to share this with you because obviously, first of all, we're not perfect, and as INFJs, we have this tendency, again, to balance things out. So in my head, if I have committed a crime, any kind of crime, it doesn't matter. Obviously, we're not going around kicking puppies. We're not those kind of people. And we're very empathic, right? So mostly we will try not to be cruel to people, right? Absolutely the case. I understand that. But sometimes we do things inadvertently, unintentionally, without even wanting to do it because of something else, right? Because perhaps, we're far away from our mothers. We can't be there for them. Or, I missed my sister's birthday for the second time and I was like, oh my God, I'm a terrible person. So things like that. I mean, we will punish ourselves. Now, a lot of my punishments are physical, so I'll starve myself for like a couple of days. I won't eat anything, I won't drink anything, and I'll starve myself, and I'll get really, really sick, and then I'll like, stop doing that to yourself. I'll work really, really, really hard, and I won't sleep enough. I'll like push myself to the limits and beyond, and I'll burn myself out, and that's one of the ways I punish myself. Again, as I said, I'll stay away from people, and I'll even if people are interested in me and want to be my friends, I'll just hide in a corner and not interact with them. So there's other ways as well I do things, other ways I punish myself. Nothing like I would beat myself or things like that. Like I would beat myself up in my head, not physically, obviously. But I wanted to share this with you guys because I wanted you guys to start analyzing yourself in that way. Like watch yourself. Like this is one of the most important things you can do in your life. It's not being narcissistic. It's not being focused on yourself. It's about learning how you interact with the world. Now, if I hadn't been watching myself, I wouldn't have realized that I do that to myself, that I punish myself for crimes that I think in my head I've committed, right? I'm not saying that I shouldn't be punished for these crimes or that, someone else is going to punish me for it, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that we need to realize the first step to changing anything or learning about anything is to realize it's actually happening, right? Now, obviously, a lot of you perhaps are not aware of that fact. So once you start watching yourself and seeing how you move through the world, if you are, not eating for a couple of days or not giving yourself water, you can kind of analyze and say, is it because I'm really busy or is it because I'm punishing myself for something that I've done, right? And now I've started looking at it, and a lot of times it's just punishment. It's because I did something, like I snubbed someone when I shouldn't have snubbed them because I was in my head, or I did something where, I did something terrible in my head, just in my head. And so no one else is saying anything to me, but of course we do self-gratification, or instant gratification, I should call it. So you know how like instant gratification is one of those buzzwords right now? In my head, I think of INFJs as doing instant gratification, which to me means like we want to we want to rectify each situation as it happens, as soon as it happens, right? So we want to balance things out, as I said. So we want to rectify it. So if we do a crime right now, we're not waiting for God to mark off, oh, she did a boo-boo, I'm going to do something to her when she goes to hell or something like that. We're not waiting for that nonsense. Like, I don't want to wait for God to punish me and all that stuff, because I can punish myself. And also, I know what's good and what's right and wrong in my own head. I know what's right. I know when I do things right and I feel good about it. And I know when I do things wrong. I don't have to wait for God or the great, whatever you want to call it, Allah, whatever. I don't want to wait for him or her to punish me or to make me understand that I've done something wrong. Like, I'm not waiting for that moment in time, if it ever arrives. I'm not waiting for life after that for that, karma to come to me. I want karma instantaneously, and I'm going to make sure that happens instantaneously by making sure that I punish myself, right? Now, a lot of the punishments are undeserved because we have very high standards, of course. And so sometimes I'm thinking to myself, well, I shouldn't really be punishing myself for this. Like, really, if it was a minor mistake, why am I doing this to myself, right? So obviously, again, same thing applies. You watch yourself and you say, okay, yeah, I did something wrong. Is it worth a big punishment or a small punishment? Like, really? Should I be doing that? It's also weird because some punishments I'm giving to myself based on the crimes of humanity. It's just a weird thing to say. I know it seems really narcissistic to say that. It's like big ego. But a lot of times when I'm looking at the world and looking at the way people are treating each other or the people are treating the environment, things like that, I feel like it's my responsibility as a human being in order to take on some of that responsibility. It's not just, even if I'm not doing anything. Like, I live a very green life. I mean, I don't walk anywhere. I don't have a car. I use very little plastic. I use a compostable toilet. So in a lot of ways, like I reuse and reduce, and I don't buy a lot of things. So in a lot of ways, I'm very green, but I do see the impact that humanity is having on the environment. And so I think that, okay, that's some of my responsibility. I have to make sure I take care of it. So I will try as much as possible not to use plastic or not to use anything that can't be composted. So I have a bamboo toothbrush. I use a moon cup for the ladies. Things like that. So there's like a lot of examples, but that's not me punishing myself. In kind of a way it is, because sometimes I want to buy something. Like, I really wanted a pair of headphones. But I think to myself, okay, my headphones are fine. They're really broken. It's like right here. Look, I had plastic on it. But I was thinking to myself, but they still work, and that's plastic. And if I throw it away, then it's going to stay in the environment forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. I can't buy new headphones, right? So that's the way somehow that we punish ourselves as well. We're taking on the crimes of humanity. We're punishing ourselves for it. We're self-ratifying it. We're rectifying a situation that we think is unfair. I hope this makes sense to you guys. I don't know if I did. I just wanted to kind of explain to you how process works in my head. Hopefully it does make sense. If you guys have any questions at all, please message me anytime at all. If you do hear a buzzing in the background, it's cicadas. I can't really do anything about it. They're here all the freaking time and they're really loud. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.